Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is the week of book club where we are talking about saying no, and I'm very excited. I'm Ashley. I wrote this book called Move Over Extroverts, and I've been getting good feedback on it, which is nice. Um, so let's talk about this chapter. I don't have the number in front of me because I am at the office and I forgot to grab a copy of the book.
11.
11, thank you.
Mhm.
Chapter 11, which is saying no in business, in personal life, whatever. It's such an important skill that is not talked about enough. So let's talk about it. Let's start with I have a couple prompts. First, where are you guys really good at saying no? Let's start with some positivity. Where are you excellent at saying no?
I've
I wish
gotten
I,
pretty good at saying no to invitations to be on this committee or part of that organization. I've got my organizations that I'm a part of and participate in, and so most of the time when something new comes up and somebody wants me to be a part of it, I'm like. I'm just too full up at this point in my schedule. I can't add anything more. I mean, I don't understand how people who are retired can get bored because I
Yeah.
just, if I retired from my real estate, um, I would accept more of those invitations. I would get involved more in these organizations, and my time would just fill up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Also on Facebook, I am constantly getting invitations to join this group or that group, um, and it's like, no. My Facebook feed is junked up enough by Facebook. So
That's good. Those are two really important big buckets of things to be able to say no to. So that's great. All right, welcome Oksana to the call. Oh, she just hopped off. All right, who else wants to share? What are you good at saying no to?
I have a lot of angst with no, so I don't know that there's anything I'm really good at saying no to.
Well, that was going to be my next question is what do you struggle with saying no to? So let's talk.
Yeah. Well, I had two really difficult situations. I'm blessed. I had two listing appointments on Saturday.
Nice.
Long story short, I had to say no to both of them because because of the distance I was going to be, but also because of the situation of the house. One reason or another. And I found what I did was um, I used Chat GPT to say, how do I politely say no in a professional way? And it helped me. And both of the responses I got back from them were fantastic. I mean, they were both like, well, she goes, if I change my mind about, one of the ladies was setting so many parameters, I don't know how we were going to sell her house. And I told her that from the get go. So, but she was like, if I decide that I'm going to go, she didn't want to go on MLS. Let's put it that way. That was going to be really hard.
I have one of those right now, and I'm like, you're tying my hands. I can't do anything for anyway.
Right. So that was the situation. So I told her from the beginning that was going to be difficult. And then I just decided that I couldn't do it. And plus, I couldn't find any comps because she wanted a ridiculous price. So there's a couple of things. So got that one. And she was like, well, if I change my mind about, wanting to go forward facing, basically, she said that she would, I was her girl. So I know I have it, but, so that made me feel great. And then the other one I had to let down because, well, it was just a sad situation. It was a filthy home. And I was just like, it was going to take so much work and she didn't want to do any of it. And I was like, this is not me. I can't feel good that I was going to give her all of my love and attention if the home wasn't going to be in a condition where I felt good about it. So, and so long story short, she was just like, well, I guess I said it in a nice enough way. She said, in the end, she said, thank you and good luck with your success in the future and everything. So I didn't burn any bridges. And I think that's the anxiety I have
Mhm.
was, I just don't want people to be upset with me.
And that's fair. That's a really important point to be cognizant of when we are saying no, is to do it in such a way that we don't burn bridges or don't tarnish our reputation in the community. So good for you for dealing with both of those situations. Also, side note, unrelated, the second situation, it sounds like that might be a good person for an investor or a flipper to come in and just like, because
That
they'll
is
take any.
exactly what it needed. Yes.
That's the first thing that went to my mind. I'm like, oh, it sounds like a good flip. So, yes. I love it. Creative ways to say no while still being helpful and not making it personal and not hurting feelings. That's what it's all about. And leaving the door open, like with the first one, leaving that door open for, okay, things change in the future. I'm your girl. I can help. I want to help. We just have to do it in a way that makes sense. So I think that's great. I hope she comes back to you. She probably will because she's not going to be able to sell it off MLS unless some kind of magic happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. I also saw Diana hopped on. Welcome to the call. We are talking about saying no, what you're good at saying no at, and what you struggle with saying no at. So,
Hello, how are you?
hi, I'm good. I'm good. Is this your first time on this call, by the way?
It is, yes.
Well, welcome. Welcome. We have a good group here, and feel free to participate as much or as little as you'd like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Who else wants to share either an example of something you're struggling with saying no to or something you're really good at? We can learn from both.
I have trouble saying no to my husband.
Oh, tell us
Um,
more.
um, just sometimes he'll come to me. Okay, I have a perfect example. So yesterday morning, he said, I'm going to go grocery shopping. He likes grocery shopping. He actually uses it for lead generation.
Oh,
Um, and um, so he came home with the groceries, and I was on my way out the door to an appointment, and he said that he was going to make me dinner. And so then I got home after my appointment, and he was in the kitchen, and he was starting like a webinar or like a call like this or something like that.
mhm.
And he said, "Well, I've got this started. Why don't you take over?" And I'm like, and usually I have trouble saying no to that kind of thing, but he's done it enough that if he tells me he's making me dinner, then he's making me dinner.
Great.
I guess that was an opposite example
That's
from
okay.
what I meant to say, but um, I just you want to make your spouse happy, so
So
you
what'd you
end up
say?
saying yes to things that you really don't have the bandwidth for.
Right. That's true. So in that scenario, what did you say to him and how did he react?
Um, I said that I had to work. I had some things I needed to do for our real estate business.
Mhm.
Um, and he said, "That's okay. I'll just do the call on my phone here in the kitchen," which is what he did. We have these cool little they're like little plastic round things with a shelf in them that
Hmm.
you can set your phone in, either upright or sideways.
Mhm.
They're really cool. So if you're somewhere and you're doing something, you can just set your phone in there and put it on your TV show or your phone call, whatever, and keep talking or listening easily
Nice.
and
That's the
watching.
perfect
So
response.
he was fine.
Good.
So
Good. I like that. Giving a specific reason why. Sometimes that makes sense and is appropriate. Sometimes you don't need a reason. And like you said, you can just say, I don't have the bandwidth for this. I think that's a good one for strangers, like, or if you're declining sitting on another board. My schedule is just too full and I wouldn't be able to give the kind of participation and support that I would want to and make it about them. Like you guys deserve someone who can commit more fully to this than I can at this time. But maybe that'll change in the future. Always leave the door open.
If I might just
Please.
add one more thing.
Yeah.
Um, Part of saying no is also extracting yourself from something you are involved in.
Hmm.
There was an organization that I was part of, volunteering for 5 years, and when the woman who was sort of the liaison between my committee and the county, basically as it is, she got another job, so she was leaving, and I just thought, okay, it's time. I mean, we'd had several members leave before, and so I was the longest time person there, and it was just enough. So I extracted myself from that.
Do you remember how you did that? What you said?
Um, just exactly that. I've been doing this for 5 years, and another part of it, I had been doing for a year. It was an environmentally related um, committee,
Mhm.
and and so, but, she understood perfectly because our committee was actually instrumental in her position being created.
Yeah.
And so I'd been there longer than she was, and she had gotten tired of the politics, and so she was moving on, and so she understood perfectly, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I'm only asking these follow-up questions because everyone listening and watching the replay will learn because it's really, really great examples. So thank you.
mhm.
So important. So important. All right. I love it. It seems like everyone's pretty good at saying no. I like to see it. Does anyone have any questions around this or things you're struggling with? I know sometimes saying no can come with guilt. It can come with feeling strange about it or feeling selfish. But if you're feeling any of that, just let it go. Because everything you say yes to, you're saying no to a bunch of other things and things you might not even be aware of, future opportunities that could come to you. So I think it's good to always leave some kind of space. Yeah, Teresa.
I was going to say, I probably, over this last year, I've been working on growing a lot, and saying no is a big thing for myself, or, not spreading myself too thin because I'm always a yes girl. But I would definitely jump on that bandwagon of like, now that I am saying no or not right now, after I say it, I kind of feel guilty. So I have to mentally work through that quite a bit. And I know it will get better, but that's when you had posted about this, I'm like, that's a perfect subject. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I don't have a magic bullet answer for alleviating guilt other than the practice of self-talking yourself out of it. Or coming to us, coming to the group and saying, "Hey, I'm feeling guilty about this. I said no to this thing. Here's how I'm feeling. Talk me up." So that's always an option as well. That's what we use the big group for, the Introverts in Real Estate group. Please always feel free to post in there, by the way, you guys. Yeah, Sharon.
There's really no reason to feel guilty. I mean, one of the techniques you might use, which you may already, Teresa, is reminding yourself of all the stuff you do. In particular, things where you're volunteering your time. Um, just make yourself a list. Okay, these are all the things I'm involved in right now, and this is exactly why. So I shouldn't feel guilty.
Right. Absolutely. It's
I'm
all it's all a mindset. that the practice of shifting that mindset, it can take time. It's repatterning your brain essentially. It's refocusing it from wanting to say yes to everything to being very, very careful about what you say yes to so that you can be more intentional with it and more purposeful. I do think it's helpful to think about it in terms of if it's instead of your time and your energy, what if it were money? What if it was somebody asking for an investment of $1,000 and you know that in your energy bank account, you only have $5,000. I'm making numbers up, but you get my point. Is this one thing worth 20% of your time and energy? Or 50%? Let's say there's only $2,000 in the account. Is it worth 50%? That's a huge percentage. Is this thing that you're being asked to do worth it? So just shifting the mindset around it could be helpful. Yeah, Patty.
Well, I think too, what I find is because I was, Teresa, like you, saying yes so much when I knew I wanted to say no, then I would have anxiety until I was figuring out how I was going to say no. So if you think about it, it's just way more easier to just do it up front, right? I mean, just go ahead and you know, say how you feel and go ahead and say no first off. And so you don't create that anxiety for you. I've been that way a lot in my life. I just, you know, I'd say yes to everything and then it's like, oh God, how am I going to get out of this? And that caused me so much stress. So I'm working on it to say no more than not.
That's a really good point. That mental anxiety and stress is such a waste of energy. And I say that with love because we've all been there. And that's kind of the default because we want to say yes, we want to be making people happy and whatever, but we're only one person. You're one person, and you still need to have enough left over for yourself first, for your family, for the things that are most important to you, and everything else comes after that. If there's anything left over, then maybe you can say yes to something else. I see this a lot in the real estate world with especially in the Keller Williams community, where people are being asked to volunteer on the ALC committee and help make decisions for the office and teach classes. And it's all volunteer work and it has its place. And for some agents, there are years where it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to invest all that time. And then other years, it does make sense. So it's just a matter of asking, is it worth it for whatever the thing is? And I've shifted from do I want to do this to is this a hell yes? And if it's not, then it's a no. It has to be an abundant 100% absolutely yes. Otherwise it's a no. So for whatever that's worth. Good discussion. Any other thoughts, questions, tips? You got to be selfish. We all have to be a little selfish and put ourselves first because no one else is going to.
I'll just call out this sentence I highlighted in the chapter, which that you gave us, that says, my favorite collection of words for saying no is, I wish I could, but I don't have the bandwidth at the moment. And you can follow that with a reason, or you can just not. I mean, it's a complete sentence.
It is.
I don't have the bandwidth. That's the reason.
That's the reason. Thank you. I so appreciate you having the book with you, referencing it. I should do the same, but I am often on the road on Thursdays and in other places. So thank you. That is a pretty good sentence, not to toot my own horn, but that's gotten me out of a lot of situations that I might want to say yes to, or maybe I don't actually want to say yes, but I don't want to tell them that. No, I think a little gray lie is okay here. yeah, I don't have the bandwidth. That's the reason. And it's so vague that it covers everything. Covers everything. Time, desire, energy, money.
Well, and I had the conversation with my good friend about this saying no the other night, and just coincidentally, and she's just like, I mean, if you say it enough, then people are going to know not to ask you as well. So that's another thing. If you say yes to everything, people are going to continue to ask, right? Every time something like that happens. But if you set yourself up by saying no enough times, like for instance, my girlfriend, she goes to bed really late, like I'm talking 5:30 in the morning, and sleeps through until the afternoon. She's retired, by the way, but she's just always been on that time clock. And she said, so if anybody ever asks me to go to breakfast, well, they're going to know. The answer is no. but you know, that's what, I mean, if you do start doing that, it does seem much more helpful, because they're not going to think you're going to be available. Oh, another time. Same
Right.
thing.
I'm glad you said that, because the flip side of that is, yes, certain things and people and asks, we want to train people to stop asking, but some we don't. So I do think it's important when you are saying no, that if you want to be asked again, to say that, especially if it's a couple times in a row. I do this with certain events or parties or people want to hang out. If I just either don't have the bandwidth or I truly don't have the time, but I want to in the future, I'll make a point to say, I truly wish I could. I can't, and I know I keep bailing on you, but please keep asking me. Please keep inviting me, because I do want to do this at some point, just not right now. So I think sometimes we have to say that so that people don't stop asking, if that's what we want.
Ashley, I was going to jump in there because I love what you just said, because in the past, I've always said no to events because usually come the evening, I'm done. But I don't want people to stop asking me because I do want to be involved. It just has to be a little bit earlier, or it maybe I save that mental space for later on if there's an event that I really want to go to. So
Mhm.
that was a really good touch.
I'm glad. Yeah, I don't want people to stop inviting me to things. I'm just gonna not say yes to all of them. And if there's a very specific reason, like Patty, your friend, I'm sure it would be helpful for her to just say the reason. Like, I'm not going to go to breakfast because I'm sleeping. That's my schedule. But I could do a lunch or a dinner and redirect. That's another piece of saying no, is redirecting to something that is a better fit for you. And in real estate, if it's a no to a client, maybe there's an agent who's a better fit, or maybe you leave the door open for a different time. All right, excellent. Any last thoughts? Next week, we are talking about setting and maintaining boundaries. That's going to be another good topic. So bring your thoughts and questions on that topic. I do also want to mention that I went ahead and planned the next in-person mastermind for October. So keep an eye out for that. It will be in the Boston area, and it will be on a Friday. So if you want to do like a long weekend in the city, a Friday in October, hang on, let me let me get you the date so you can at least save the date. It is going to be October 3rd, Friday, October 3rd. Here's the link. And of course, there will be lots of other promotion around this, but for the planners out there, it would be a good event. It's part mastermind in the morning, part mini retreat where you turn your phone off and just process and think and chill. So that's all I got. See you next week. Thank you for being here. Bye.